What's up, everybody? This is the URUAV UZ80 or UZ80, and it is a small 1S toothpick style drone that is a whole lot of fun to fly. It's a kit, you get everything you need, put it together, and fly. So, is this the toothpick for you? Let's find out. So first of all, yes, you have to build this thing, but it's not hard, right? Because it is small and everything is small, it is a little bit difficult, but there's no soldering involved. So you're thinking, I want to build a drone, I want to learn a little bit more about these components, I want to put it together, I want to feel like I accomplished something. This is a good bet, but no soldering, so that is a bonus. I would say it probably took me 15-20 minutes, but I've done kits like this before, so I kind of knew what to expect. Not super tricky or difficult, but for the first timer, it may cause a little bit of frustration because some of these components are so darn small. Now, what kind of components do you have here? Well, it is a nice carbon fiber frame. You've got 0802 and 19,000 kV motors, and they're pushing 40mm props. It's a crazy BF4 flight controller with pretty much everything built in, including the VTX and ESC. Even has a built-in SPI receiver. Mine is an FR Sky. The little camera here is a Runcam Nano 3, and it does a pretty solid job. It is a solid pin PH2 connector, and that's the best you can get when you're talking about PH2. Checks in about 20 grams, so it is pretty darn light, and you can kind of choose what battery do you want to fly it on. I mostly flew it on 450s, 350s, and 300s. I kind of like that 450. You get a little bit longer flight time, but every time you add weight, you lose a little bit of agility. You have 4.5 minutes on a 300 milliamp hour battery, about 6.5 minutes on a 450, and about 9 minutes on a 650. Now, these have to be really good batteries. I wasn't getting quite that, but I also fly on old and used and batteries that I abuse with my tiny whoops and toothpicks. Overall, I really enjoy flying this. You can crash the heck out of it. Now, it doesn't fly like a 5-inch. It flies like a toothpick or a really good tiny whoop. You definitely get a little bit more agility in this than you would with the whoop. Now, I probably wouldn't fly this indoors, at least not around my house, maybe inside of a gym. I think that's where this thing really would perform well. Inside of a house, just a little bit too close quarters for me. And without propeller guards, you're gonna nick up a wall. Now, you're not gonna really break something because it's not super heavy, but again, still not quite flying around the house material. It's also not going to do great outside on a windy day, and don't expect this thing to have a whole lot of power. I tried to do some power loops, just weren't working for me, but again, I could bounce off obstacles with this like a champ. All right, so let's take a little bit of the video footage coming out of this thing. I'm recording these on my Sky Zones. I'm flying this with my Radiomaster T16. You can, you choose your goggles, you choose your remote, and you fly with whatever you want. Now, I took this thing to the park, so I had a little bit more space, but you can see later that, I think this is actually okay as a backyard flyer. But, don't expect to get 5-inch performance. Don't expect to get 3-inch performance. It's just too darn light, which obviously has its advantages. It's a lot quieter. When you crash, it just really handled crashes pretty darn well. You'll see I'll crash it here, but again later I get this thing in my son's hands, and he's a new flyer, and he crashed the absolute heck out of this thing. And because it's so light, it's just not going to break. I'm not saying that, this is the world's greatest carbon fiber frame, but, just, less momentum, less inertia, less braking going on. So these motors are the same motors you're getting on a lot of these whoops these days, the Mobilite 6 and 7, made by Happy Model, URUAV, and Happy Model. They may or may not actually even just be the same company. But if you're looking for a drone, maybe you fly whoops, you fly inside, and you want something just with a little bit more zip, that's what this is. This 1-inch toothpick has more zip than any tiny whoop you can fly. And that's kind of like, the next evolution, in piloting, if you're kind of starting small and working big, right? You start with tiny whoops, then you move into toothpicks, and this is kind of like that small-ish toothpick. You can use the same tiny whoop batteries that you're already using, which is kind of nice. So that's who I think this drone is for. I really like flying it. I let my son fly it. He's a new flyer. He did okay, but it just didn't have the power for him to recover from things that he really wanted, but at the same time, he could crash this thing and not break it. So I do think it is a good drone for a beginner. Now, if you want to learn how to fly acro, again, the best place to start is in a simulator. Then trying something like this is actually a whole lot of fun. So if you're thinking about getting into FPV, this is a decent place to start. Or if you're thinking, I want to build something, but I don't want to solder, also another good option here. Now, if you really like the idea here, but you want something a little bit more performance, I suggest you check out FPV Cycle. Bob Ruge and his crew, they're pushing the limits on toothpicks. So definitely something you're going to want to check out if you haven't already. Anyway, I hope this was helpful. If it was, give us a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, check us out on halfchrome.com. If you want something like this, make sure you check the description down below. Yeah, they are affiliate links, but they help support this channel so we can keep creating content for you. We also give away a drone once a month on our live stream, so make sure you check that out if you want a free drone, and who doesn't? Hey, good luck everyone, and happy flying.